Hey guys, this is Miss Clevenger, and I'm coming at you with our integers operations unit study guide. We're going to start with the first section, which is I can model addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of integers. So we're going to look at our number 2 right here. It says write an equation for the model below. Now remember that equation means that after you write one side, you do have to solve it, because equation means there has to be an equal sign. Well, I see that there is a total of -8, because remember when they're shaded in, it's negative, and we took -5 away. So this could be written as -8 minus -5, because we started out with -8 and we took away -5, and that leaves us with -3. Another way we could have modeled this question is if we had -8 and then we add the opposite, or change, we could have added +5, crossed them out, still would have ended up with -3. But this is what this one is modeling. When I look at number 1, I do want to talk about number 1. It says write an equation for the model below. I see negatives and positives, which to me, when I see that there are some negatives and some positives and there's some total together, that I am going to be adding two numbers together. So the first number that I see is -4. The second number that I see is +6. Now, when I want to solve it, I have to find 0 pairs. So here is a 0 pair, so I'm going to cross those out. Here is a 0 pair, so I'm going to cross those out. Now, just because they're not side by side, this is a 0 pair because it is a negative and a positive on the same side. So I can cross those out as well. And the same can be said for this one and this one. They're still a 0 pair even though they're not side by side. And I can cross them out, which leaves me with a +2. When I look at number 4, number 4 says write an equation for the model below. Well, I know that if I have hops, then I know I'm going to be multiplying and two numbers together. Remember, the first number is going to tell us how many hops there are, and I see that there are 2 skips, and each skip is -5, because from the first I went left, and remember negative tells me I went to the left, and it was 5 units, so it's -5 units because it went 2 hops to the left. Number 6 wants us to sketch a model. To sketch a model to represent -8 minus -4, well, we can do it like they did up here, where we did -8 and then we took away -4. Or what we could do is we could say that we have -8. Remember that this can be said as -8 and the opposite of -4, so it really can be -8 plus 4. So if I want to write it like that, then I can add 4. Remember that negatives means I should have shaded them in. Then I add 4 positives and cross them out, and I would get -4 as my answer. It wants us to sketch a model to represent 2 times -3. Remember, this tells me how many hops I have. This tells me the direction and size of those hops. So I always start at 0. I need 2 hops that are going to the left because it's negative, and that are 3 long. So there is -3. There's another of -3. So my answer should be -6. And then the last one, the last two, I'm going to go over 9 and 10 with you. Let's look at 9 first. It says sketch a model to represent -6 divided by 2. Remember that the second number tells us how many groups we need. How many groups we need. So we need 2 groups. And I need 2 groups, and then I'm going to split the -6 between the groups. So remember, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So my answer has to be -3. And then on number 10, it says sketch a model to represent 5 times 2. Well, this tells me that I need 5 rows or columns of 2. So my answer should be 10 positives. Remember over here, my 6 was negative, so I split negative counters. On this one, all my counters are positive. I hope this helps, and stay tuned for video number 2.